When it comes to Drake, the collapse is spiraling fast. After all the chaos surrounding Iceman Episode 3, his so-called I Spice Man's White Man album had been tossed in the trash. That rollout? Dead. It's not seeing the light of day anytime soon. And just when you thought the storm couldn't get any worse, leaked Young Thug phone calls dropped like a bomb. Suddenly,
Feel about your DMs with Drake being leaked to the world?
My DMs were never leaked.
There's a lot of people posting in DMs.
I don't know why they think
Y'all was saying some weird. Bro, I wasn't gonna say that. Because you my brother. No.
A lot of it was grand, but some of it
Why
was
would you
with
compare Breeze?
What?
Drake wasn't just being questioned. He was flat out exposed, humiliated, and dragged in public. And it wasn't just a bad look. It was tied to revelations that could flip the whole culture against him for good. That's not ordinary bad press. That's career-ending damage. Fans are watching in shock as rejection after rejection stacks up, trapping Drake with no way out. The meltdown is so huge, people are calling it the downfall of the century. What started with Episode 3 hype turned into a complete disaster that torched everything. Drake is now crushed on both sides. The industry won't touch him, and fans don't care to wait for music that doesn't slap anymore. This isn't a slip. It's a total collapse. The new drops flop. The leaks keep piling on. And now the mask is gone. Drake is exposed as a fake friend and a selfish player in the game. The image he built for years is cracking, and hip-hop is buzzing like never before. What makes this sting harder is it's not just Joe Budden critiques or Kendrick throwing bars. This time, the dagger came from Young Thug, the same guy Drake always stood by. And here's the irony. Thug's been fighting his own storm lately, drowning in leaks, dragged across headlines. Yet in the middle of all that chaos, he still found time to aim smoke straight at Drake. That says everything. In all those leak calls, Thug caught heat from every angle. But notice one detail. He never once came for Metro Boomin. He kept it solid, stood on loyalty. But when Drake's name came up, the tone shifted instantly. It was tied to the origins of the Kendrick versus Drake beef, that whole We Don't Trust You saga with Metro and Future. And Thug didn't sugarcoat. From one of the most neutral voices Drake could have asked for, the truth came raw. What Drake was saying, what he was doing, it wasn't just wrong. It was flat out stupid. That's not just a diss. That's betrayal from somebody who was supposed to be in his corner. This info is so heavy, it could wreck Drake's career beyond repair. Once fans really process why behind his desperate moves, he may never recover. The ripple effect is already shaking the game, and it's only spreading. Now, I won't drag you through all 27 minutes of Thug's leak call. Half of it was filler. But the gems? They cut deep. In that conversation, Thug got filled in on all the shady drama around Drake and Metro Boomin during the Her Loss era in 2022. Soon after, Metro dropped Heroes and Villains, adding gasoline to the fire. And the one track that came up? Trance. The same track where that leaked Drake verse came out. Here's where it flips. Drake was apparently scrambling at the last second, begging Metro for a beat or clearance just to squeeze in a collab with Young Thug and Travis Scott. It wasn't about artistry. It was about clout, about control, about clinging to power. Thug was disgusted. To him, Drake's moves weren't strategic. They were desperate. He called it cold, fake, and flat-out embarrassing. And then he said the one word that shattered everything. Stupid. That hit harder than any diss record. Because when loyalty collapses from the inside, it reveals just how fake the empire really is. And Thug didn't stop there. He cut through the noise with brutal honesty. I don't know how anyone can even speak to Drake about music right now, he said. Your mom is gone. She's never coming back. Is not in the right space. And you're going to tell Drake, I don't like that. I ain't clearing it. That's the type of raw truth that flips an entire image upside down. And then came the knockout. Drake's so stupid. Thug painted the picture clear. While others were dealing with real life, Drake was playing games, talking nonsense, and crawling back weeks later begging for the same track. That's not just poor judgment. It's proof the fall is already in motion. That's straight shameless. Young Thug doubled down and made it crystal clear that if he could, he'd be riding with Metro nonstop, standing by his brother in one of the darkest moments of his life. That kind of loyalty puts Drake's behavior under a harsh spotlight. Because let's be honest, Drake's lack of empathy is blinding. The loss of a mother is the deepest pain anyone can face, and instead of showing love or even basic respect, Drake treated it like business politics. That isn't just cold, it's downright inhuman. When you see someone respond like that, you can't help but say, this guy isn't built like us. Aligning yourself with a man who can't show compassion in a moment that devastating says more than any verse ever could. And the fact that it's Young Thug, someone rappers actually look to for wisdom, putting this truth out in public makes it brutal and embarrassing. Joe Budden called it years ago, and now there's no escaping it. Drake just proved he cares more about chasing a beat than respecting someone's mother, and that stain doesn't wash away. That's exactly why so many people are turning their backs on him now. This isn't just another petty rap feud. It's cold, unforgivable, and exposes a flaw in Drake that no PR spin can fix. And since the truth came directly from someone in the middle of it, nobody can dismiss it as gossip. That's why the Metro, Thug, Future, and Travis Scott circle has pulled back. They see what this really means. Drake isn't just selfish, he's toxic. And in this game, no serious rapper is running to the studio with a man who puts ego over loyalty. Metro's circle has always been built on brotherhood, and with this revelation, that loyalty looks stronger than ever. Drake, on the other hand, is stranded on an island. He is not only exposed as fake, but is also being quietly iced out of the culture. Behind the scenes, he is desperate, begging for features, chasing any kind of lifeline to revive his sinking music. But instead of saving him, this circus is about to fold back on him completely. Even Rick Ross calling him white man tells you everything you need to know. Drake's reputation is officially in shambles. And when you strip away the fake snippets, weak drops, and embarrassing film-style stunts, the truth is staring us in the face. This is Drake's biggest disaster since Kendrick torched him. Maybe even worse than the Karen paperwork mess. Why? Because this time, Drake hit the one nightmare he never wanted. Irrelevance. That Iceman project? A total dud. Fans didn't even bother clowning it. They tuned out completely. And in Drake's world, silence is death. What's obvious now is that demand for Drake has hit rock bottom. Nobody is checking for him like before, and the proof is right there in the reactions, or lack of them. People mock his music for a second and then move on, forgetting about it instantly. That's brutal. Because when Drake drops a track and it dies that quick, it shows his grip on the culture is slipping away. If he dropped a new album right now, the sales wouldn't go platinum, gold, or even silver. They'd go straight triple wood. Pinocchio numbers. Hollow and fake. And that's exactly why episode 3 of the so-called Iceman saga fell flat. Instead of delivering bold new heat, Drake recycled an old track from his last project. Because deep down, he knows the truth. If he dares to drop something big right now, it'll flop harder than anything we've seen. And the scary part? That next flop would be so bad it makes the last flop look like a comeback. Drake knows the storm is waiting and is stalling for dear life. But there's no avoiding what's next. The walls are closing in, and this time, there's no escape. This Iceman rollout is nothing but filler, mid-tracks, recycled bars, fake Pinocchio gimmicks, and the same tired songs on repeat. At this stage, it doesn't matter if you're a Drake diehard or his biggest hater. The truth is obvious. The way he's handling this failure shows exactly where he stands in the rap game, and it's not the top end anymore. Drake's going to stall this project as long as he can, maybe forever, because if he dropped it today, it wouldn't just flop, it would be career rock bottom. And here's the thing, it's not just about weak quality, though that's a problem too. The real nightmare for Drake is the numbers. He built his whole image as an influencer artist, someone who thrives off clout, attention, and stats, not artistry. So when the charts stop moving, his entire identity crumbles. Even compared to For All the Dog Scary Hours, which only got a lukewarm reception, Iceman looks worse. At least Curiosity carried that project. Now, nobody even cares to listen. That's the scariest part. Fans hear these new mid-snippets and don't even waste time clowning. They just move on. Think about that. An old throwaway album is more valuable today than the big rollout he's trying to push. That's a new kind of failure, where even your flop from the past look like wins compared to the disaster in front of you. That Part 2 track? Pure desperation. Drake knows he has to crawl back to past glory because Iceman has nothing left to offer. Looking at the calendar, it's almost guaranteed Iceman isn't dropping anytime soon, and maybe never will. If Drake dared to release it right now, he'd be setting himself up for the ugliest flop of his career, maybe even the biggest flop of the year. September 19th, Cardi B's long-awaited sophomore album drops, backed by massive label money and insane promo. Then September 26th, Doja Cat returns with a label-fueled machine behind her. Drake doesn't stand a chance head-to-head. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, it does. Because right after them comes the one artist Drake can't touch, not even on his best day, Taylor Swift. On October 3rd, she's dropping her new album, and it's already a cultural juggernaut. We're talking NFL tie-ins, corporate deals, vinyls, and CDs already stacked in warehouses waiting to fly off shelves. This isn't just an album release, it's an industry takeover engineered to break streaming records and shatter milestones. And Drake? He knows it. That's why he's stalling, ducking, and praying nobody notices how far his star has fallen. Because with Cardi, Doja, and Taylor all lined up, September and October are locked. Drake is completely shut out to the last big music window of the year. If he forces Iceman into that lineup, it doesn't just sink, it gets buried alive. And once that happens, there's no climbing back. The culture will move on without him, and all that will be left as silence. When Taylor Swift steps into the spotlight, Drake's Little Iceman saga looks like a clown show next to the empire she's moving. The gap isn't just big, it's humiliating. For the industry, Taylor means value, power, and guaranteed profit. For Drake, it means irrelevance on display. There was a time he could go toe-to-toe with her cycle and hold ground, but those days are long gone. Now, her label is all in, and her first week is set to move literal millions. Drake can't compete with that. Not even close. Even if he waited a month after Taylor, her numbers would still dwarf his so badly he'd look like an underground act. And with the industry shutting down after November, his window to drop gets smaller by the day. That leaves him nowhere. If he releases Iceman, he embarrasses himself. If he shelves it, he proves the critics right. Either way, his boxing with no escape. Let's not forget, he already dropped one album this year, and it still delivered Carrillo numbers. If that rollout was his better attempt, what chance does Iceman have? None. Drake burned through every play in the book, and the results are pitiful. After nearly 500 days of flooding the culture, forcing microwave comebacks, and never letting fans miss him, the price has come due. Overexposure, irrelevance, and collapse in real time. The games has been running since the beef ended are officially tired. Fans are done with the antics, the fake hype, and the empty promises. After one of the worst rollouts in hip-hop history with Iceman, whatever little buzz Drake thought he had is gone. His grip has slipped. Right now, things look worse than ever for his career, and the panic is obvious. Behind the scenes, he and his team are scrambling, but every move just digs a hole deeper. At this point, the truth is crystal clear. Iceman exposed Drake completely. His chasing clout, hopping trends, and throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but none of it is working. Which leaves him with two choices: drop the album and watch it flop into oblivion, or bury the project and stall as long as he can. Either way, it's ugly, and the decision is already obvious. His ducking the release, hiding behind smoke and cringe antics, while real stars run the fourth quarter. So while Taylor, Cardi, and Doja drop massive records, smash milestones, and dominate the industry, Drake is nowhere to be found. His hiding out, avoiding the numbers that would confirm what we already know. This is the worst downfall, not just in rap, but maybe in all of music. The collapse is almost complete, from the Iceman streams flopping to Young Thug exposing him. And at the root of it all, Drake's cold disrespect when someone's mother passed. That one act triggered the dominoes that led here. Total ruin. And honestly, why should anyone feel bad? This isn't bad luck. This is Drake's own arrogance, his own choices, and his own downfall. If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and join the channel membership for private videos, exclusive perks, and even your name in the credits. And don't miss the video link right here, where we break down how Iceman Episode 3 destroyed the Drake fan base and forced him to cancel the album entirely. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.